It's about understanding that success isn't defined by what other people think it is. Success is defined by what it is that we believe is going to get us to live the most fulfilled life. I find that there are tons of things that I don't always love doing, but what I am a lot better at than when I first started was enjoying the present in the pursuit of the greatness.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of the Hyper-Conscious Podcast. We have a very special guest today who I know is going to bring the energy to match mine. He is a best-selling author, a speaker, a lifestyle entrepreneur, and he is the founder of the Professional Basketball Combine. We are sitting down with Jake Kelfer. What is happening, my man?
Come on, fellas. I'm feeling the energy. Let's do this thing.
My first question. We'll just get right into it. What is a lifestyle entrepreneur, and how does it differ from a regular entrepreneur?
To be honest, when I first had that, it was just a cool adjective to put over entrepreneur, But as I've grown, what I've realized is that for me, growing businesses and being an entrepreneur is not about having my life around my business. It's about having my business around my life.
Right.
Because everything that I do is designed to pursue the journey relentlessly, pursue success as hard as I can, also enjoy the process of creating greatness. So that's why I roll with the lifestyle entrepreneur every once in a while.
I love it.
So you speak on a lot of stages. I saw a lot of your speaker reel. And one of the things that I want to ask you, so I was speaking to a group of high school students yesterday, and the more I speak, the more I learn common challenges. What have you found to be some of the most common challenges, common questions that you get asked? And if you were to start this interview off with some real tangible value right out of the gate of like, these are the things that I see are most common challenges, these are the principles that I'd give you, what would they be? Go with whatever your gut says.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest challenge we see across different age demographics here is the fear of failure and the fear of rejection.
Right.
And what I mean by that, we'll break those down into two steps. The fear of failure is obvious what it sounds like, right? But it's really that thing that prevents us from taking action to pursue what we really want to do. It keeps us from stopping us living our life based on our definition of success rather than what other people expect us to achieve success as. Right. And there's a huge differentiation there, right? Because the majority of us are going to go through life. The majority of people are going to go through life wishing they were doing something different. They're going to spend the hours that they're at a job wishing they were doing something different, yet they're not going to do anything because most likely there's that internal fear of going out and saying, well, what if I try and I suck? What if no one buys my product? What if no one wants to work with me, right? We have all those fears. So one is that prevention of taking action. That's one of the biggest challenges that we see when it comes boiled down to it. The second part of it is the fear of rejection. As human beings, we're programmed to want to be loved, to be heard, to be complimented, to feel valued, to feel that we belong. We're programmed to want community and connection. Now, one of the biggest things with that, though, is that means sometimes we have to put ourselves out there. And to put ourselves out there means we have to open ourselves up to be vulnerable and to be potentially rejected by the other suitor, by the other person we're trying to connect with. And this is one of the challenges that we see all the time, is that we're afraid that we don't have a certain personality, so no one's going to want to connect with us. That we don't know exactly what we're supposed to say, so people aren't going to want to connect with us. That we don't know how to add value right off the bat, so no one's going to want to connect with us. We don't know how to get in the circles, so we're never going to break in the first place. And it stems from that fear of rejection. So those are two of the big challenges that I see a lot when it comes to working with different types of people.
That was fire. I appreciate that.
That was fire. Just hammered it.
Yeah.
Can you share with us a couple of your biggest, and this is in quotations for those listening, your biggest failures and rejections? Can you share those with us?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'll give you a rejection from my high school days. There was a girl I really liked, right? And this girl, I mean, I think we both liked each other, but we never said anything. And I never said anything because I was scared that if she didn't feel that way, we'd lose that relationship. And there was one moment where we were at her house and we were watching a movie and it was going well. And I was like, okay, this is it. I'm making my move. And I just didn't make the move. I froze. So I'm like, okay, before I leave, I'm going to make my move. So I counted to 3, didn't do it. Panicked. I'm driving home. I live about 15 minutes from her. All of a sudden, I'm like, you know what? Screw this. I'm going back. I'm doing it. I'm there. I'm going for it. I turn the car around. I drive all the way back, knock on the door. She opens it. I panicked again. Long story short, your boy just didn't come through in the clutch. Okay. and here's something that I've taken away from that is that I was so scared of it not working that I couldn't see how great it could have been if it did work. And that's something that I've taken from that point and always continue to think about. Is it's much better to try and not succeed, much better to try and be rejected than to never try at all. Because what's going to eat you up way more is that feeling of like, oh shit, I wish I would have done it.
Right.
Rather than, you know what? Oh, I messed up. Who cares? Right. And when it comes to people, there's 7 billion, 8 billion people on this earth. There's plenty of them that want to talk to us, work with us, connect with us, love us, enjoy our company. So that's one of the big like rejections that I had. And then I'll give you another one related specifically to business is when I first started dabbling in the online space, you know, I had this dream where I was like, oh my God, online courses, totally going to be able to crush this. I created something that I thought everyone was going to want, put in all this time, interviewed a bunch of people, thought I made this killer program. Nobody bought, or very few people bought. And it was like, really? And I have learned so much from that point to now where we are able to teach our clients how to sell it before we're building it, how to grow it, how to build the audience, how to, you know, launch it in the right way. And so for me, there have been so many mistakes along this way. And now I've come to appreciate those for what they truly are, right? Which is just amazing experiences that like you look back on and are like, oh, that's hilarious that I once thought that.
Yeah.
But because I had that, I was able to elevate quicker. And that's the key. That's the key.
So what we've found is that if you don't believe enough in yourself, you won't even try. If you don't try, you won't fail. If you don't fail, you don't get pain. If you don't get pain, you don't get the new awareness. And then you can't make better decisions. And so one of the things about you that were you always such an action taker? I mean, obviously you weren't based on that story you just told me in high school, right? But like, when did that shift for you when you just decided like, okay, I'm sick and tired of focusing on what could go wrong, of she might reject me, to what if this ends up being an amazing relationship? So when did you stop focusing on what could go wrong and actually try and realize that one no or one rejection or one no thank you is actually leading you to the lessons and the yeses in the future?
So it's funny. I mean, I'm a pure action taker in the sense of it, okay, which is really interesting. And this kind of we're gonna dive deep here is when we talk about that moment that I shared, right, about the girl in high school and talking about that. I think what it's come to is like I will always take action, but the actions that are the hardest to take are the ones where you have to be in your most vulnerable moments.
Right.
And so putting yourself in front of that girl, that was the most vulnerable I could be. Because trying out for the varsity basketball team as a 5'4" sophomore point guard, I had no business being on the court, and then making that team and becoming the starting point guard, like there was no hesitation in that. But with this girl who I even knew liked me, there was hesitation there. And so what I found is that the bigger the stakes are in our minds, the more vulnerable we feel we have to become in order to make that our reality. And so what's really important as I'm sharing this is that everything that we do comes from our thoughts and our beliefs. And we all have the doubts, the worries, the insecurities, the what ifs. We all have those. But now it's about when you do have those, how do you reframe it and what do you do in spite of those fears? How do you overcome them and face them head on? And so every time that I think about now moving forward is like, you know, when I write a book, the first book I wrote, I was writing a career development book at 23. And in my mind, I'm like, who's going to read this book? Like from a 23-year-old kid, I'm 1 year out of college, who's going to read a career development book? But when I reframed it and said, well, I'm the closest to what is going on in the job market right now than anybody else who's been doing this for 30 years. I know the secret sauce that's working right now for kids my age. I reframed it again. I said, okay, knowing that that's going to be an objection or something that could come up, well, what do I need to overcome that? So I interviewed a bunch of really credible people from the top companies like Apple, Morgan Stanley, professors, NFL athletes, CEOs, and coupled that with my experiences to add my credibility. So when I think it comes to taking action, it's about acknowledging that we are scared sometimes, acknowledging that we are going to put ourselves in uncomfortable situations, but doing it anyways and then consistently showing up after that.
Jake, I think one of the things that makes people most uncomfortable, and if I was to go up to somebody and say, hey, there's a networking event next week, amazing opportunity, most people are afraid of that, right? Because it comes to, you're talking about yourself, you're talking to other people, whatever it may be. You're an expert at building relationships. So from your perspective, where do people go wrong or where do they have misconceptions around whether it's a business relationship or just a relationship in general? What is your advice to people who are either early entrepreneurs or just afraid of building relationships in general? Because I know for me, for a long time, that was me, for sure.
Yeah, I think one of the big things here when it comes to relationships, networking events, things like that, is a lot of the reason why people don't like it. One of the things that a lot of our clients will say, and people reach out to me, is like, I don't have the personality that you have, Jake. Like, how am I going to use my personality? Like, I don't really want to talk to all these people. I don't like love going to these events. And what's really important to understand is that there's no right personality to be a great networker. Sure, there are parts of personalities that can enhance your chances and can enhance how you do things. But it comes to really owning your true style and using that to your best advantage to meet other people where they're currently at. And if you can do that, one, you become more confident. Two, you become less worried about what other people think because you're owning who you are and that's what you want. And third, you don't need everybody to like you at a networking event. You just need the right people to like you, right? And I think that that's such an important concept because you take it to the next phase. You take it to the next phase and say, well, how do I actually connect with these people? Now that I'm getting past it and understanding like, okay, I am good enough, right? I am going to get some success. Now you say, okay, well, how do I actually do it? And that's where you can dive into the depths of figuring out how to use your body language, how to use the right tones, what is the right intention behind doing these networking events? Because no matter who you are, you're not going to talk to 150 people. That's not good networking. Good networking is being intentional with who you're reaching out to, why you're connecting with them, and what you can do for each other. There's a big difference there because people get in the perception of when you go to a networking event, I'm going to collect all the business cards. I don't even bring business cards anymore because the people that are most important, I'm going to connect with them and give them my own personal information. If I can't give them my email or get their email, the connection isn't good enough, period. And so it starts by getting through all of those phases.
You've been an entrepreneur for how many years now?
5 years officially.
5 years officially. Okay, so some of our listeners, a lot of our listeners are probably thinking about entrepreneurship. And I often tell Kevin this, like anything that we don't understand fully, we have a fear around. I remember the idea of starting a business very early on. My first business was called Campus Libre back when I was in college, and it was so intimidating. And anything you're intimidated by, you're going to have an aversion to. And if you have an aversion to starting a business, you're not going to start it because you need to take massive action to succeed. For anyone who's listening right now who has considered chasing their dreams, most likely that involves at least some form of starting a business or a business partnership or something. What do you wish you knew earlier that would have helped you make not less mistakes, but be less intimidated? Because it's not as like, if you know nothing about what it takes to start a business, it feels really heavy and overwhelming, when in reality it's a few simple fundamentals consistently practiced over time. So what would you say to you at the very beginning of your journey? Because many of our listeners are honestly there right now, contemplating in the future, I'm going to start a business, but I don't know what it is yet. I don't know who's going to buy it yet. I don't know if it's going to be a product or a service. So whatever comes up for you, for our listeners, I would love to hear.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it would have been asking even better questions. I think if we're confused on what to do, where to begin, well, how are you going to get that information? It stems by asking the right questions. And when you ask questions, it's a form of building value. It's a form of building relationships. And the foundation of every business is based on the relationships that you have. You won't have a business unless you have customers. You won't be able to learn unless you have mentors or coaches. And everything comes down to people. So when I think about that, I would go back to asking the right questions so that I could have the better information, which makes actually building the business seem easier, which when it seems easier, it enables us to be more willing to take that action because there's less risk involved from our own mental thoughts.
Right. What questions have you asked consistently to yourself and others to succeed in business? Because I couldn't agree more. We actually just did an episode on the questions we ask ourselves. Yeah. What are some of the questions you recommend our listeners ask themselves?
So there's questions to ask yourself and there's questions to ask others, right? And this is very important that you're doing both. Now, when it comes to asking questions internally about ourselves, one of the things that I think is most important to ask is how do we define success? How do we actually define success? Because oftentimes we're comparing what we think we want to do to what someone else has already built, but it has no merit on our overall happiness. Because at the end of the day, we're all seeking freedom, happiness, and life enjoyment. Like that's what it is that we're trying to do. Starting a business gives us more flexibility in an ideal world. It gives us a chance to make more money than at a traditional 9-to-5. It gives us a chance to travel the world, work from wherever, right? That's what's sexy about it. But it is very hard work. And so what I would say is ask yourself, how do you define success? How much money do you actually want to make? And how much money do you actually need to make to live the lifestyle you want to make? Most people overestimate what it actually costs them to live the life they actually want. Okay? Think about, how do you define your relationship success? What makes you happy, right? These are all the things that I start to think about, and I even do all the time currently, to just reground and recenter myself to make sure I'm in alignment with my values and my ambition. And that poses very, very good reflection time, because it enables me to say, and for others to say, shoot, I said success was this, yet my actions are showing that success is this. Where am I offset? And then you can rechannel and refocus so that you can be more clear, and it becomes easier again to stay on the right path.
This is a question I get a lot, because we have really great mentors. David Meltzer, Evan Carmichael, like, we have some really amazing mentors. Alan has done a tremendous job with that. I can't take almost any of the credit for that. But a lot of people ask, they say, like, how do you guys do that? I usually say, like, just DM Alan, because he'll tell you. But Alan has an unconscious competency when it comes to that. Say somebody is listening to this episode and they say, this Jake Kelfer dude is, like, legit. I want to get a hold of him, and I want to find some way to get in his orbit. What do they send you? What questions do they ask? What value do they pose? What advice would you give to somebody trying to get a mentor like you?
Yeah, first of all, if you mention the Lakers or Taco Bell and anything that I'm doing, you're in. You're in. No, but there's a way that has been really working for me, and something that I've kind of evolved since the beginning, of trying to figure out, how do you get in touch with the most influential people based on wherever you're at, right? And that's the question we want to get to. So, like, I'll give a quick practical Instagram DM script that we can use, and then I'll tie it into a few examples of how we've used it in the last couple of months. So the basic Instagram DM script kind of goes a little something like this. Part 1, say hey or hi with the person's first name. Okay, that's it. Okay, now here's the thing. The amount of people that call me Jack or Jeff and not Jake blows my mind. The easiest way to get yourself thrown out is by doing something when the name is right in front of you and you still spell it wrong. Look, I understand some names are tough and autocorrect happens, but you better correct it right away. Oh, yeah. You better just admit, oh my gosh, I blew it. I'm sorry. It's okay if you make mistakes. We're human. Okay, so part 1, address them by the correct name. Part 2, we call this the fun fact frenzy. Okay, the fun fact frenzy says, go to their Instagram profile, and within 30 seconds, it shouldn't take you more than that, scroll through it up and down and look for one thing that you have in common, that you learned something, or that you have the same values. Okay, did you go to the same school? Do you eat the same foods? Do you like the same sports teams? Do you wear the same clothes? Have you traveled to the same locations? Do you have the same amount of family members? Are you married? Are you single? Are you divorced? Anything that you can find that's related to that person based on a simple fun fact. Mention that fun fact. Okay, so hey, Jake, I noticed you love Taco Bell. I noticed you're a big Lakers fan. You're starting 5. I posted a picture of, like, me and my friends in our Laker jersey before the playoffs. And it was like, if you said, hey, Jake, I saw your picture, like, go Lakers, they're bringing home the championship. You're already starting to build. And I'll explain why this is so important. And then lastly, it's to leave the conversation open for connection. The higher up of a person you're going to reach, the less likely they're going to be able to respond to that first point of contact. So therefore, we want to make sure that we leave this conversation open for a response, but more importantly, open for ourselves to follow up. And this could look in a very simple form. Very excited to connect, looking forward to connecting, or even if you want to push it, ask a hard hitter question. Ask a question that elicits a memory from them, an emotional memory. So the reason for this, and this is really short, right? We're packing a lot of stuff in a very short message because we just want to pique interest and start to connect at an emotional level versus just a logical level, okay? The majority of people that get outreach are copy and pasting. They're using the same script over and over again, and they're not doing any type of customization. Well, people that get a lot of inbound get a lot of that same message. So all you have to do is tweak it a little bit, and you're cutting through the majority of the cracks. So for us, I wanted to test the script. So I put on a summit a couple months back, and I wanted to reach out to some high-level entrepreneurs that I really enjoyed or that I've learned from or that people have recommended. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try a bunch of different scripts, see which one hits, see which one lands, and do it. And this script brought in some people that are 7-figure entrepreneurs, that have 8-figure businesses, that have sold for $75 million, like all types of entrepreneurs. And this script was what got me in the door with most of those people. And it was completely cold. Their audiences ranged from like 7,000 to 55,000 to even 300,000. one of the ladies we featured had 375,000 followers, and she responded right away. And we got her on the summit, and we had something of value to immediately add, right? So this script works for that point. So that's what I would kind of break it down for anyone that's trying to connect with people or find ways to break in without having to do like incredible amount of research.
Can I add real quick?
Yeah,
Just real
please.
quick. You were at Influencer last year, correct? Brendan Richard's event?
I was.
Natalie Hodson. This is kind of our thing. I send videos. So I sent Natalie Hodson a video the other day. She screen capped it, and she's putting it in her program for how to reach out to people. So that's another fire way if you're watching or listening. I always send videos because, again, it's not scalable by any stretch of the imagination, but sometimes we got to scale the unscalable.
Sometimes you got
And
it.
I love that. I love that. The videos are fantastic. I typically go with a voice or a video after the first or second touch point. Okay, and this is great though, and I love that you bring that up. And we can get like super in the weeds here, like this gets me geeked up. But what I find is really valuable too is like depending on who it is and how frequently they're on video will sometimes dictate how likely they are to respond to videos. And Natalie's a great person because she's so good on video, and she loves talking about her journey and her gardens and all those things. And so she's gonna see that and be like, oh, great, let's go, right? So I love that intention behind what you do, Kevin.
That's a great point that he just made.
That is a great
I don't
point.
go on video as much as you do.
Alan never goes on video.
Yeah, that's a trip. That's a trip. One of the things I want to make sure we're clear on here, this is always a touchy, interesting topic for people because people want to believe on some level that the value of the relationship is something that it necessarily, I guess, it's almost like, shouldn't you just value me just for me being a person? If you're a business owner, you have to be strategic with your relationship building. You have to be. If I sell water and you just did a marathon in the desert, you need me 1,000,000 times more than if you live on a lake. I use that example because I want people to realize that business is about building relationships, and you have to be strategic about that. That feels really icky for some people.
Yeah.
But that's why networking for a lot of people is like a icky word. Can we go deep as to, for our listeners, we say that you are the sum average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. You have no choice. If you want to succeed in life, you have to get around successful people. There is no exception. So from your perspective, to help someone, let's say that I'm a listener and I'm sitting there like, I don't like the idea of reaching out to someone just for my own benefit. Can you go into why it's not just for your benefit and why you're doing it to add value and why it's actually going to add more value to everyone you serve too?
So we call this the triple win. Okay. Now the triple win is a win for you as the person reaching out,
right?
Because you're going to get in touch with this person. You're going to build a relationship. It's a win for that person because ideally you're going to sell them something, offer something to them, bring them on, share your audiences, share a stage, right? They're going to get some win by being involved. And then the triple win, and this is the differentiator, is because of your interaction, because you took the initiative to make this happen, all of the people that hear that interview get the recommendation, get the product to be available to them, their lives are going to be impacted because of that.
Right.
And so when we do things and we reach out, we are coming from a place because we really do want to help people, right?
Right.
If we're growing a business because we want to make money, we want to make an impact, and we want to have a lot of fun, right? And I think those are Dave Meltzer's three big things, right? Make a lot of money, have a lot of fun, help a lot of people, or something like that.
Right.
And when we do this, when we're reaching out, that's what we have to think about rather than thinking about how we're going to get the win or why it's a win for us. We need to think about if we don't do this,
right,
we're actually not serving our purpose.
Right.
We're actually not being ethical to the people we want to help. And that reframe is so powerful because it takes the mentality off of me and it puts it onto we. And that's where you start to see that big growth and that change of, do I only want to do this because of this reason? Or do I do this because it serves my greater purpose? And all of us have something that's greater than ourselves if we are going to be successful entrepreneurs in this day of age.
How do you find that, Jake? I'm sure you get that question a lot. We get that question a lot of like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. What advice do you have? Because people see us here. We're speakers, we're coaches, we're podcasters, we're quote unquote living the dream. The dream still has nightmares some nights. But how do you, like, if somebody comes to you and says, Jake, dude, you look so happy all the time. Like, you're always smiling. You have so much energy. You're always so happy. How do I find my thing so I can do that too?
So I mean, we could dive so deep in this, but I'll keep it simple. We call it the ACE method. Okay. And I got all these different things for all these things because
fix for everything.
Because here's the thing, the way our brains work, when it's something simple to like the triple win, now you got that in your mind. Okay, the triple win. Okay, I remember that. The ACE method. Ooh, what's the ACE method, right? It's like in the form of a storytelling, right? And we want people to appreciate that. So for everyone listening, like put names on things because it'll help you remember it. It'll make it more exciting for others and you'll be able to share it more. So when you're trying to figure out what you want to do really, we call it the ACE method, which is action, connection, enjoyment. What can you do to take consistent action every single day, doing something that you really enjoy, doing something that serves other people, and doing something that you can make money? Connection. How can you constantly be connection? In this life, we know, you guys said it, surround yourself, average of the 5 people. But even more importantly than that, the biggest indicator of long-term happiness is our relationships, right? And so connection is that piece. Who are you going to connect to help with the action? Who are you going to connect with to bring your enjoyment, right? You see how now it starts to connect all the pieces. And then enjoyment. If we aren't having fun, I don't care what it is that we're doing, it's not worth it. If we wake up every day and we say, gosh, I wish I was doing this, go do what you say you wish you wanted to do. Take the action, find the connection, and enjoy the heck out of the process, right? And then when it comes to that next phase of building the actual business, it's to really start to identify, okay, how can I help people? Who are the people I can help? What can I do to solve their problems? And how can I make money doing it? And can they afford what it is that I want to be doing? And then you can start to dive deeper into that and grow it out.
Do you love every part? So Dave Meltzer, the consistent, persistent pursuit of your potential. Some parts of that still kind of suck a little bit. And if Dave heard me say that, he would not be happy. But yes, but you're not happy all the time, right? There's still stuff that Jake has to do that Jake's like, it's not my favorite thing to do probably, right?
Oh yeah.
That's to be expected.
I think there's sometimes this misconception, right? People think entrepreneurship and they think you got to do whatever you want. You got to show up for 2 hours a day and you got to just check your emails. You got to send some outreach. You got to get all these sales online because they just flow in naturally. You turn on a funnel and boom, you're a millionaire, right? You're doing all these great things. And with TikTok, we see all these people posting the videos. Go here, go here, go here, go here, go here. And now you have 6 figures in a month. And well, sometimes that's true. More often than not, it's not true. And it takes a lot of hard work. And it takes a lot of internal reflection. It takes a lot of outward thinking. It takes a lot of trial and error. And I find that there are tons of things that I don't always love doing, but what I am a lot better at than when I first started was enjoying the present and the pursuit of the greatness. And that's where you can really start to enjoy and see the ride for what it is, the ups and the downs. Because now I literally know, like if I'm not feeling it that day, I'm so in tune where I'm like, you know what? I am not feeling it. I'm not going to produce my best work. I need to pause. I need to reflect. I need to go read, go on a walk, maybe watch an hour of Netflix. Like I need to breathe. And then I come back and I'm recharged and I'm ready to rock and roll. So it's about finding and understanding who you are, when you work best, how you work best, who you work best with. Like you guys got a great dynamic. Like it makes it a lot of fun. Sometimes, especially during coronavirus, I'm feeling lonely, right? Because I'm not in person as much. I'm not traveling at all. Like sometimes that hurts a little bit more. And so I'm like, okay, what can I do to get myself back to that place? And you find ways to appreciate it as you go through the ups and the downs of entrepreneurship to really keep you on that mission and that purpose.
So you mentioned earlier that there was 2 different things that you mentioned. One of them was, vulnerability. So the most vulnerable place we can be is where all the growth is. You said something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing. My question for you is right now in your life, where is that most vulnerable place, and what do you have to do with the ACE method to get to the next level of your life?
Man, we are getting deep, fellas. Mm-hmm. So I think when it comes to vulnerability, for me, it's understanding that you just can't do it alone. And it's understanding what I mean by that specifically is even if you're a small business owner, you have one person, you have a couple contractors, you have VAs, whatever, or even if you're just starting out, you will never have the growth that you want without other people. And sometimes it's really hard for someone like me who's super ambitious, super type A, super like excited, has had a ton of success to have to open myself up and ask for more help, right? And getting a coach, that's a form of asking for help. But I'm even taking it one step further of like actually being willing to admit that what you're doing is just not working as quickly as you want it to, right? And for me, that's always been something that I've kind of struggled with because I want to do it and I've had great success. And I'm like, well, why isn't this part working? And sometimes we have to take a second and say, it's okay, right? Like I can be so hard on myself, but it's okay. And so asking for help, asking for people to support me, asking for people to buy from me and being like really vulnerable about that is one side. And then on the second side of it for me, when it comes to like being vulnerable and connection is like my biggest goal and my biggest dream in my life is to have a wife and kids someday. I'm 27 years old right now. And like for me, wife and kids, like my parents are amazing. My younger brother's incredible. Like that to me is the greatest gift. And that is ultimate success. Now I'm not there yet. So understanding that I'm not there yet, I have to be willing to take the action to make that happen just as much as I need to be willing to take the action to grow my business to 7 figures and beyond. Right? And sometimes that can be a really hard thing to realize because we're so focused in work that it consumes life, when instead our life should be consuming by all of the things that make us successful. And so for me, that's been a real part of my growth as I continue to have more and more success, work with more and more people, is navigating that and finding the systems that really help me as I go through those challenges and those experiences.
Let's stay deep. Let's stay deep. We're going deep. Let's stay deep. So we talked a little bit about people's fears, rejection, failure. What is your biggest fear if you had to label one?
That's a good question. I mean, I think it would stem from probably not being able to achieve everything that I want. So in a way, comes back to a part of failure, right? Because I have huge ambitions. I want to do incredible things. But my biggest fear is that I won't be able to exceed my expectations. And that's sometimes tough for me to realize, but also sometimes I'm not meant to exceed those expectations. And that's where it becomes really powerful because, when I think about what I want to do, things can change, right? Somebody can get sick with COVID in your family and that can change your entire perspective on life. And so when I think about it, I think that stems from that, but also I have to be willing to understand that sometimes those dreams and those goals, it might be better that those get changed. And that's part of having faith in uncertainty, which as an entrepreneur is one of the toughest things that we go through because we want answers and we want it to be just straightforward. But sometimes you have to be, ride with the uncertainty and be comfortable with it.
Powerful. You got another question? I'm just deep in thought right now.
I have many questions.
Yeah, keep hammering.
Okay. So you talked about your version of success. Alan and I have our versions of quote unquote success. In your opinion, why aren't more people successful?
Because they've never defined what it means to be successful.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. Why aren't most businesses successful? Because they aren't clear on what they actually do. Why aren't coaches more successful? Because they have no idea how they actually help. Right. And so for me, the answer to that question is why aren't people more successful? Because we don't know what success looks like to us. We know what success looks like to the world and society. And I'll give you a quick story here. Me and a good friend of mine, our parents were best friends. We grew up together. Neither one of us was a superstar from the very beginning. Okay. We were friends. He was into tech and soccer. I was into basketball and sports. He wasn't good at school. I was really great at school. He graduated high school, went to community college, dropped out. I went to high school, graduated high school with honors, went to USC, graduated in 4 years. Throughout this whole journey, he's trying new things. I'm trying new things. He's building businesses. I'm trying to build businesses. He's making mistakes. I'm making mistakes. He's learning. I'm learning. Well, 2 people in the story, the person that I'm referencing, me, you guys know where I'm at right now. And for everyone listening, you've heard the journey right now. The other friend that I'm referencing, the kid that barely graduated high school, dropped out of community college, valeted cars, is the CEO of a company called Movement Watches, which sold for $100 million. Society wrote that kid off. Society expected immense things from me. It's about understanding that success isn't defined by what other people think it is. Success is defined by what it is that we believe is going to get us to live the most fulfilled life. We have the power to choose what that really means, right? We are the director of our own movie, the author of our own story, the coach of our own team. and we are the captain of our own ship. I mean, come on, baby. We are El Capitan. So direct the ship, direct the movie, direct the team to go to a place that you want to be with and that you want to enjoy along the process.
Fire. El Capitan.
El Capitan. Where are you the least fulfilled in your life right now? Where are you the most fulfilled in your life right now? Where are you chasing pleasure at the expense of fulfillment?
Gosh, let's do those one by one. So first one is, where am I most fulfilled?
Where are you least fulfilled?
Where am I least fulfilled? I'm in the process of growing my team. And I, as you could tell, love connection, right? That's literally what we keep talking about. My team, everybody's virtual. Everyone's virtual. And that's going to stay that way. So for me, hopefully in this next year, I can bring on one to multiple full-time people that are with me, and we're starting to really grow this thing into the empire that I see it becoming. So I'd say least fulfilled is that connection within the workplace on my team. And I love the people that we work with, and we get along really well. But that I want to get that to the next level. And then the next part, where am I most fulfilled?
Yep.
I'm very fulfilled in my relationships, my fitness, my enjoyment of life. I live a great life. I'm going to be the first to say my life is unbelievable, and I couldn't be more grateful for it every day. I mean, I wake up and I'm like, this is unbelievable, right? Living the dream, even though there's tons of things that don't always want to do in that dream, but I'm living the dream. And I'm very grateful to have been able to put myself in that position. But I always want more, right? So I'm satisfied and content, but I'm never going to stop in that pursuit. Or I guess I wouldn't say I'm satisfied. I'd say I'm content, but I'm never satisfied. I guess that's a better way to frame it. And then the last part, what was it, Alan?
Where are you chasing pleasure at the expense of fulfillment? Because I think that's a mistake we all make. I know I've been guilty of that in my past. I think we're chasing something that is a result at the expense of what's going to make us, more happy with who we've become and who we've helped.
This one's really personal, and it might surprise people, but like for me, like I like to eat certain foods, but I have an incredibly sensitive stomach. Okay. So sometimes I will chase the pleasure of that treat, that delicious snack item, at the expense of what could happen after. And we won't go into all the details, but I like to think about it as this. And I kind of made this up because I started to realize, why would I make certain decisions based off this? Now, to taste my favorite food in the world, that's going to be a 10, right? That's a 10 out of 10 experience. The discomfort that comes with that and the lack of fulfillment that is potentially going to follow is a 2 out of 10. If I could go in the negatives, I would, but let's call it a 2 out of 10. We've brought that entire experience to a 6 out of 10. Now, let's say I take a different food item. That's a 7 out of 10, right? A 7 out of 10. Now I'm feeling good after that 7 out of 10. Sure, it didn't taste like the greatest thing in the world, but it's still a 7. That's solid. Then on the back end, I'm not going to be at a 2 out of 10 because I'm going to have all that extra time that I would have had with a stomach ache and in pain and not happy. I'm going to have an hour, 2 hours feeling really good to go do whatever else I want. Maybe that means going to play basketball. Well, that experience is a 9 out of 10 now. Now my average has jumped up to an 8. So now what I've done is I've created the system of understanding the choices that I make based off of what will come in spite of those choices. And so does that kind of make sense? Like how I've kind of broken that down when it comes to pleasure versus that fulfillment?
It's micro versus macro. It's like what's going to be enjoyable now, but also what is this going to do? Basketball is a positive now and a positive later for your health, whereas the other one isn't.
Taco
Absolutely.
Bell.
Appreciate that.
Taco Bell, not so much.
That decision-making paradigm that you just described is something that I wonder if other people are as... You were a math guy in school, is that true?
Love math.
Yeah, I know. I could tell. So we're very calculating, and it's interesting because I wonder to myself if other people are doing that I do that 24/7, 365 at all times. And I wonder if other people do that with their decisions.
Look, if I want Taco Bell, I'm going to get Taco Bell.
Yeah.
I don't care how I feel after. Gordita Crunch,
It's just
please.
interesting. It's just interesting because every decision, I'm reading a book called Algorithms to Live By, and mathematical analysis of choices and the long-term compound effect of those, but also the pleasure of the moment and the circumstance. It's just a trip. I appreciate you going through that because I just can tell that you're I knew you were a math guy by the way you are. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah, I'll take it even further on the math stuff. Like I'm a weird dude when it comes to math. Like I get up at 5:32 in the morning. not 5:30, not 5:35, 5:32. 5 minus 3 is 2. Every time I wake up, the numbers got to equate to each other. Okay. Like I'm weird like that. I love multiplying numbers by 11. I can beat a calculator on pretty much any number, right? Like I've learned that formula. My great grandfather taught me, and now I'm like, let's go. So I love math, and I've always done it. And like I love data and analytics, and that's especially important as you start to scale a business to really understand that when it comes to your numbers, your budget, and everything.
Can you describe the value of mathematics? Because here's the interesting thing, right? There are some people who, and I mean this with all the love in the world, who are better than you in certain ways, speaking, communicating, different things like that. I wanna help people understand the value of the behind the scenes mathematics that goes into not only good decisions, but also being strategic in your life. Because even when it comes to networking, right? Like the triple win. Do other people think like that? And if they did, they would network, and then they'd be just as successful as you. So can you convince our listeners, or at least talk to them a little bit about the value that math's had? You did really well in school. You mentioned that. I'm assuming you took calculus and all that kind of stuff as well, I can tell. How do you convince or persuade people that like math will change your entire life? Like more than anything, because you'll finally be able to make long-term decisions. Chess game, it's like this decision and the implications 15 moves out. I'm doing that all the time, and I don't know if I've ever been able to really break through to people's hearts on that in terms of the value of math. And I know David Meltzer talks about this a lot too. But
well, with math, oftentimes people have a strong affinity for it or a super strong dislike for it. Right? If you mention math, some people that are listening right now are like, I'm out. I don't want to listen to anything math related. Like, I'm not good at math. I'm not listening to it. Blah. Right? Other people are like, oh, math, let me see what we're going to break down here. What formulas are we going to talk about? What are the equations, right? And we're going to go geeking out on that. But like there's simple equations for everything. Like, and so if you want to go figure out how many clients you want to make, let's say you want to get 10 clients and you convert at a 10% rate, okay?
100 messages.
And let's say you want to do this over 100 days, right?
Right.
One message per day.
Right.
Okay. One sales conversation per day. You'll close that many people over that time.
Right.
Now, let's say, how much money do you want to make? Right? How much money do you want to make? You want to make 10 grand a month. That's often a big marker. 100K in a year, 10 grand in a month. Those are two of like the great milestones for beginning entrepreneurs and as people start to grow. If you want to make $10,000 a month, what are you selling? Let's break it down. If you sell a coaching program for $2,500, you only need 4 clients. Right? You only need 4 clients. How doable is 4 clients? It starts to seem much more doable than $10,000. How in the world am I make $10,000?
Right.
If you want to make $100,000, what's that breakdown? It's about $8,300 a month. Okay. What does that mean? How do I break that down? Oh, it's about $2,100 a week. Oh, I sell a product for $100. Oh, I have 21 clients that I need to service or products to sell in that week to hit those numbers consistently. Oh, let's say I want to enjoy my life and I want a 4-day weekend every single week. So you only work 3 days a week. Now you just need 7 people to buy that $100 product a day, and you can have 4-day vacations and make $100,000 a year. How doable does that seem when we break it down like that? Math doesn't have to be this intimidating thing with all these variables and deep algorithms. It's very straightforward, and you break it down into a way that everybody can do it. And when you can just slowly do it, it starts to make our beliefs stronger, and then it leads to stronger actions, which lead to greater results. So math to me is so powerful because it allows us to break it down and make it possible rather than something that we just think we want.
I'm sold. I'm sold on math. What's 19 times 11?
Well, shoot, that's a tough one. 209.
I don't know. I'll go with it.
That's awesome.
So you're 27 years old, right?
Yeah.
This is something that Alan and I have been going through since the beginning of this journey. Can you talk about, I don't want to say losing friends, because I don't want to phrase it that way, but like, Jake, you're so effing ambitious that not everybody's going to understand that, look, I have a podcast today with these guys. I can't come out to lunch, right? Can you talk about the decision-making that goes into being a successful business person, a successful entrepreneur when it comes to the relationships in your life and how you choose?
There are 2 big things that I love this question because there are 2 things. One, when I first started out, how I viewed this, and one now where I've created my life to be able to do whatever I want to do with whomever I want to do it with. When I first started, I left my job working for the Los Angeles Lakers to launch my first book, become a speaker, start creating my own business. People thought I was batshit crazy. They were like, you're kidding me? And I'm a huge Laker fan. Like, we have a room in my parents' house called the Lakers room. It's painted purple and gold. There's sports memorabilia everywhere. All right, we're huge fans. I leave that job to go pursue this dream. I moved back home to do this, right? And I went to USC. A lot of people have a lot of money. I didn't even know what money was until I went to USC. Like, it was crazy. So all these people, they're going on vacations, like to Cabo once a month after graduation. They're living in these great apartments. And some of my closest friends, when I made this decision and I started doing all this, they talked so much crap behind my back. Mm-hmm. They started saying, why would you ever do this? I would hear through the grapevine, like, they're laughing at you for doing these posts. They're like, why is he doing that? Why is he doing this? And it was hard. And at first I took everything super personally. Mm-hmm. I was like, gosh, but I also didn't have another circle of people to go to right away, because those were who I just spent a lot of my time with. And so I really had to start identifying, going back to this, you are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. I had to start thinking, if my circle isn't going to lift me up, then I need to go find a circle that's going to lift me up. Mm. And as I've grown, I've realized that just because they didn't support me then, 1, things have changed, right? 2, not every friend serves the same purpose. Because sometimes we're going to grow in life at a pace or a speed that's different than other people. Mm. It doesn't mean we still don't love them or cherish their friendship, but it just means that the way the friendship is might be different, and that's okay. Mm. So some of those friends that I'm mentioning, they will never be the friends that I talk about my deepest things with, my business growth, my ambitions, because they will never be able to meet me where I'm at. Mm. But they may be the greatest people to go out for a drink when I want to completely forget about work. They may be the greatest people to go work out with or to hang out with and just have fun and reminisce on our college days. That is so powerful, because we get so held up thinking, how do we handle this? And we let that stress and that anxiety overwhelm us in terms of those relationships with people that we considered close friends. Now, I'm at a place where if you aren't going to be with me and we're not going to grow together and we don't both really want each other to succeed and have the greatest lives ever, then we aren't going to be on the same ship. It's just that simple. And then the second part to that is, my schedule is designed to give me the freedom to connect with people that I want to connect with. So when I do interviews, there are certain days that I do interviews. Those are interview days. But after this interview, I'm going to go relax and enjoy a nice lunch and maybe call a friend, because I've set up my schedule that way. And that's one of the best things ever about being an entrepreneur is you can literally do whatever the heck you want to do, because it's your business and there are no rules. The only rules are the ones you allow to be put in place. And so that's the big transformation, is I went from always worrying about what other people thought, all these friendships, and are they ever going to go, to now picking and choosing who I'm hanging out with, knowing how to handle certain relationships. And that's become such a monumental difference in my overall happiness and well-being when it comes to relationships, especially on the personal side.
That's a fire answer. So I want to give you, we got like 3 or 4 minutes left. I want to make sure that you have time to talk about your things, talk about your books, talk about speaking, online things. Where can people find more about Jake? And then if we have any time, we'll hammer a couple more questions.
Sounds good.
Yeah, well, I'll keep it simple. I mean, if anyone enjoyed this, reach out to me on Instagram at Jake Kelfer. You got the script. Reach out, talk about it, mention you listen to us, post a picture of this podcast. Like, we'd love to see that, right? We'd love to see
Absolutely.
that. But I'm on Instagram at Jake Kelfer, my website, jakekelfer.com. And for everyone, we give away Elevate Your Network, which is my second best-selling book. We give that away for free to anybody that wants it from a podcast. So if you guys go to my Instagram, just hit the link, grab a free copy of Elevate Your Network. We'll get it sent to your doorstep as soon as possible. And then if you want to talk deeper, if you want to talk deeper about, what we can do for you and your business and helping you overcome those, those doubts, those question marks, let us know and we'll schedule a time to talk.
If you're out there listening right now, elevating your network, I can't think of a better thing you could do for your life. When you look back, I'm 31, Kevin's 31, like we're older now. It did make the biggest difference, and it continues to. And if you're out there and you're intimidated by the idea of networking, you're gonna have to master this arena if you want to have a magnificent life. You just have to,
especially if you're emotionally driven.
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
You're very mentally strategy. Same with Alan.
Yeah.
I used to be very emotionally driven, so it was like I don't really want to bother Jake. Like I don't want to reach out to him. I don't want to bother him. I don't want to bug him. So if you're emotionally driven, this is going to help you tremendously.
Right.
Tremendously.
And if anything in this episode made you feel uncomfortable regarding networking or the math, there's a place you can grow here. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing as well. And if you resonated with this, you're probably very mentally driven as well and long-term strategic.
I didn't know if you were going to say something, Jake.
I'll throw in something else here. Come on, fellas. We're against the clock. Let's get it all in for the people. What I would say to it is if when we think of networking, sometimes we have that bad connotation.
Yeah.
Right. We have a vision of what that is, just like with salespeople, car salesmen. We have this mindset of what that means.
Aversion, yeah.
If that doesn't resonate with you, call it connection.
Yeah.
If that doesn't resonate with you, call it personal growth.
Right.
If that doesn't resonate with you, call it relationship building.
Right.
Because there's always a way for us to hear something that elicits a response to us internally. Find what that is for you that gets you excited to going to pursue the life of your dreams.
Fire.
Absolutely.
This was amazing. Yeah. I genuinely, this is one of my favorite. Your energy, man. I usually have the energy. Your energy is
you brought it.
You brought it. So we are sitting down with Jake Kelfer. He is an author, an entrepreneur, also a Taco Bell connoisseur.
Yep. We appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for alluding to some of the things that I think future entrepreneurs need to know now. Start thinking about all this stuff, and I wish I knew this stuff earlier. So thank you.
Appreciate you, fellas.
Boom.
Talk to you soon.
Fire, man. Fire. Very much enjoyed that, man.
Thank you, Jake.
Yeah, guys, I'm so glad we were able to do it. That was a ton of fun. I mean, the question, you guys are seasoned pros.
We appreciate that.
I've done probably conservatively about 60 interviews or so in the last couple months. One of my favorite in-depth questions that is actually relevant to people right now.
Appreciate you.
So well done on your guys. I don't know if you did a bunch of research before, or if you guys you're just in tune now with how to do it.
Yeah, this is 461. So we've done this many times. But honestly, dude, it's your energy. Like you want to be here. If that comes through, it's different. Once you got on and said yo, take a minute. Nobody says that. Nobody says take a minute to prepare yourself. They want to go. So that's how I knew you were a good dude.
Yeah, we really appreciate this. If there's anything we can do to help you, please reach out. You mentioned emails with the networking. We have your email? I think we do.
I think we do. I think initially we reached out to Amy after you guys on Instagram.
Yeah.
We put the system into place. That would have been a great thing for us to discuss.
Right.
I've got your email, Jake at Jake Kelfer.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All
right, fellas, two quick questions before I let you go. One, any type of guests you guys are looking for that I could potentially introduce you to?
Appreciate you.
We could get back to you for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know your network well enough to.
Our goal is heart-driven people who want to focus on helping others and empowering others who are very, very successful. But we're in the middle of a rebrand.
Yeah, there's a lot going
on. We just got off a coaching call, and so I'm glad that went well. But our snow globe has gotten very shaken lately. We're changing our name, all kinds of stuff. But we're not sure. We're gonna have to get back to you on that.
That was the most business podcast we've probably ever done in terms of going the tactics for we've never really done that. So we're leaning into this new version of us and who we're trying to help. So definitely we'll get back to you on that for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, let me know. I mean, I got on the very vulnerability, women, mental health, body image type to business, whatever. I got people everywhere. So you let me know on that. And then if there are any shows or people that you think I'd be good to get on,
for sure,
would love that as well. So we'll stay in touch about all that and make it happen.
Jake, if you're ever looking to start a show, let me know. I have my own agency who takes care of everything for podcasters. So you would be a phenomenal podcaster. Phenomenal.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I will definitely keep that in mind. Right now, cannot add a podcast to my schedule.
No worries, my man. No worries.
Sounds good, man. Thank you so much, and I'm gonna reach out to you via email soon. Okay?
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Good luck with the rebrand. Talk soon.
Thank you, man.
Thank you. Talk soon.
Peace.